What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. We are back with our score predictions for the 2024-2025 season. For a brand new season, it means there's a new set, a new layout with these predictions. Please do let me know in the comments down below if you like it or not, because I'm willing to listen out to your feedback with it. I'm just changing some things around, just seeing how they're going to look. So enough on that. I'm just so excited that the season is starting tomorrow. It's starting tomorrow. I can barely contain my excitement. I need to get my fantasy team sorted. So many things that I've got to do. But regarding this channel, the prediction league is back. Now, in terms of the winners from last time, Andy and Pinky Dagger won in first place, Hill Football second, and GSGN came third. Hill Football and Andy and Pinky Dagger, if you're in the comments, please do follow my socials, which you see like right there, one of them at least, and then I can be able to sort you out your prize in due course, because GHGN, I managed to sort out your prize, but I'm still waiting for a response for Andy and Pinky Dagger and Hill Football to allow me to give them their prize for doing so well in the prediction league last year. But who's going to win the prediction league this year? I've got to up my game. It wasn't one of my best years, so I'm eager to get going, and honestly, I just really want to get on with it. If you guys enjoyed the video and you're so pleased the championship back and you're pleased to see me again, please do smash the like button. It really helps. Every subscription really helps the growth of this channel. Every share, every like, every comment, all of those things really help. Right, we'll roll the new intro and we'll get started for predicting the new 24-25 season. We start things off with Blackburn facing Derby. This is one of two games that's taking place tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I've got to say, my eyes will be firmly on all of those games. I was probably in the midst of studying, but I'll certainly have one corner of my eye looking in all of those games and absorbing every nugget of information that I can get from those games and how they're going. So Blackburn certainly going into the season with the expectation that they're going to be there and thereabouts, and Derby are, to be fair, as well, with them being a newly promoted club. So this already could really set an early indication of which of these two sides that are expected to be down there in the championship, to see which one of them is looking a little bit more up for it and more prepared for longevity that is the championship. So in terms of when I've seen them play, they typically play out a really good game between them. But obviously, it's been quite a few years actually since we've seen this last matchup, with the fact that Derby have been down for League One for a couple of seasons. So I'm really excited. We're going to see our first taste of Derby County very early on. And I really do think this game's going to really make things quite interesting. I could see it being a little bit tense. Derby could go into the attitude that they really got to go for it, being a newly promoted club. Blackburn, for me, will feel more nervy, but if John Eustace can reinstall that good quality that he has in terms of keeping really good defences, then I think this game could be quite cagey and quite difficult for any side to make a breakthrough. As a prediction, I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw, just a very steady draw to start things off in the season. I think both teams will spend a bit of time figuring each other out, and I think it will end with not one of them getting all 3 points. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next up, we've got Preston North End, and they are facing recently relegated Sheffield United. So in our first two games in this new championship season, we're going to see two new sides entering in this league and getting a good early expectation to see how they could make things a lot different in this league compared to what we saw from last season. Preston obviously had that incredible start, so potentially if Preston want to try and repeat that, they're going to potentially show a great result here. Sheffield United are going into the season, and I'll be really interested to see how they respond to the way that they were really getting beaten week in, week out in the Prem. For some teams, they can bounce back and they can right the wrongs that they had in their previous season. But some teams can really crumble under the pressure and can really drop down the table. So I think this game's going to be a good indication to see if Sheffield United are going to be the good, part of it to respond well, or if they're going to be the bad side of it and then completely drop down the table and have a mental block. So I think, again, with this game, I see this one being a little bit tense. I think Preston will have the intention to try and be defensive. I think Sheffield United will hold a little bit more of the ball in this one. The question is, do they have the patient build-up play to break Preston down and get a goal? As a prediction, I have a feeling based on the depth of the squad that Sheffield United have, just slightly over the comparison of the depth of Preston squad, I think they could offer a couple more match winners if called upon, if Sheffield United are finding it difficult in periods of the game. And I'm going to therefore go for a 2-0 away victory to Sheffield United. I see this one being a little bit of a slow burner, but I think once Sheffield United get a goal, I think they'll be hungry for more, and then I think it'll just end on 2. And yeah, Preston for me, I think will be a little bit nervy starting the season. I don't see them necessarily setting the world alight, but I've got to be honest, I was wrong in their first game of the season last year. I didn't back them to beat Sunderland, and they did. So easily could prove me wrong, but I think Sheffield United will be the slight favourites of this one, in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Funny that I was just talking about Sunderland, we now need to predict their game next. And this is one of the 8 half-12 kickoffs we're going to get in the Championship on the Saturday, which is going to be really, really exciting. So Sunderland are facing Errol Blue's Cardiff City. And personally, I think Cardiff are going to be the slight favourites in this one. I think expectations would tell you that Sunderland should be striving to get a stronger finish, but I think based on how squads are looking at the moment, I've been more impressed with Cardiff's transfer window at the moment. And I think Cardiff had a much stronger end to last season compared to what Sunderland have to hold. There's going to be lots of change in Sunderland. And I think Sunderland's going to be one of those teams that actually might start quite poorly. But I think as the season goes on, I think they'll start chugging along and they'll start climbing themselves back up the table. Whereas I think with Cardiff, they could easily start really, really well, like they did last year, but then tail off if they do pick up one too many injuries. So honestly, this game, I think will feel like it should be quite close, but actually I feel Cardiff will get an early goal, and I actually think they'll sit on that lead and prevent Sunderland from getting anything out of it. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 1-0 Cardiff win. I back them to get a good start based on the optimism, the strength of the squad, the transfers, and the manager having that extra year of experience with his team. I think he might just be able to get over the edge here. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So next up with our predictions is Hull versus Bristol City. I am actually really interested how both of these clubs are really going to perform at this moment in time. Hull, like versus Sunderland, are rocking up with a new manager, and certainly going to be a very different side with the amount of first team players that they have lost. Hull, I expect, will still be tinkering around with their squad with transfers going into right to the final day to make sure they've got a strong enough squad. And I think because of that, it could cause a bit of disruption on the pitch as well for Hull. Bristol City, I really am feeling quite positive about them at the moment. And I'm glad when I was looking at a couple of other people's predictions, they were saying the same things that I was saying, that actually Bristol City look like they got a solid foundation in place at this moment of time. Obviously, if there's an injury to a key personnel or like a striker, for instance, it certainly could make things quite difficult for Bristol City, but I really do think with the adaptability that Liam Manning can put within his side, I think he will be able to find a way around those problems. With this game here, I see them, well, both teams actually playing a really fierce up-tempo game. You know what, I'm really thinking a draw. I think Bristol City will probably look the more prepared side, but I've got to say, I think Hull always give a game and they always go for it, and I actually think that will play in itself and we'll get a really exciting game out of it. And I'm going to go for, as a score prediction, a 2-2 draw in this game. I could really see a really, really exciting game between these two. So I'm going to go 2-2. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. It's now time to talk about the return of Pompey. They have got to play against, I think, the favourites of the Championship, Leeds United. I don't think they could have had a worse opening game of the season than to get Leeds United. But in one positive, Portsmouth, I think, will get one of the most difficult games of the season out of the way early, and they can use the rest of the season to really grow into the season. Now, I think me predicting Portsmouth to go down has not been an entirely popular choice around the community. I think especially with how little games Portsmouth have lost, and the way that they've not lost those games has just been built on a really good defence, but also with a strike partnership and a strike forward three, you know, just taking their chances. They were really clinical in League One, and I really do think with that solid defence, but also being so clinical going forward, it meant that it was very difficult to get a result against Portsmouth. Leeds, there's no doubt about it, in my opinion, will score plenty of goals. Portsmouth, I'm really going to be interested to see how they defend this, because I do think they defended really well for League One standards, but now in the Championship, where you've got £1 million worth of players now having to contend with, I think that back line for Portsmouth is going to be really tested this time, and I do see this one probably been a bit of a slow start for Leeds. I don't see them racing out for traps as probably quite a few people are going to see it. I think Leeds are going to be really comfortable and scoring plenty of goals within about game week 5 or 6, where their squad will be not chopping and changing as much with the transfer window still open. But I think also just even getting players back into fitness, having a bit of time away. Some may not have had a pre-season from competitions as well. So I do think with this game, I see this ending as a 1-0 victory to Leeds. Might surprise you that I've not predicted more goals, but personally, I actually think Leeds will start quite slow, and actually it'll be one of those 1-0s which personally would not look like that Leeds entirely deserved it. But I think Leeds will get a couple of those games and results out the way first. But I think once the squad is settled and it can function as it is, then I think Leeds will start blowing teams away. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Middlesbrough going up against Swansea. So both of these sides having had their manager be with them from last season. So it feels quite refreshing that, one, we're not talking about a brand new team, and two, that we're not talking about a team with a brand new manager and a brand new system. These are two teams basically picking up where they left off from last season, which is absolutely nice. Now, I do think Middlesbrough will be the slight favourites based on the players they got at their disposal in the squad. They ended the season in pretty similar form for what Swansea did as well. Swansea actually ended last season quite well with the fact they had nothing to play for, so I think that really put the pressure off them. For me, I do see Middlesbrough, based on the options that they've got, looking a little bit more likely that they could get anything here. But I will be intrigued to see how Luke Williams will try and tactically outmaster Michael Carrick here. There can certainly be some vulnerabilities of this Middlesbrough side from defending counter-attacks and set pieces, which I think will be quite interesting. But as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Middlesbrough. I think it will be not really straightforward, but I think it will be one of those performances that they just get over the line and they can then start their season. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. The next game to talk about is Millwall going up against Watford. So a London derby this, which I think will be intriguing to get one within the first game of the season. Millwall, I think, will be looking like a side that they certainly want to start a lot better for what they did from last season. They didn't start overly well with Rowett, and it never really recovered until Neil Harris managed to go in and actually put an incredible run of form together. So I will be intrigued to see if Mill can carry that momentum onwards. Watford, on the other hand, had a pretty much of a momentum going in the other way. They had a pretty negative momentum, especially in the final quarter of last season. And it'll be interesting for me to see, will that affect them in any way? Like, their first game of the season last year was an impressive 4-0 victory over QPR. I mean, how times have changed there, how QPR are looking so good now and Watford are now looking really bad. So it shows you that your result in the first game of the season is not the be all or end all in your season, but I think with this game here, I see both sides struggling to find the ball in the back of the net at the start of the season. And I'm going to therefore pick this one as my stalemate for this weekend. I think everyone's got to do at least one, and I'm going to pick this one. So I'm going to go for Millwall 0, Watford 0, I'm afraid. So hoping that's not the case, but I do think it's going to be a draw between those two sides. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict, guys, is Oxford going up against Norwich City. So this is going to be their first game, Oxford, in the Championship since 1999. It has been 24 years, or 25 years if I can actually count properly. I mean, that's insane. And Norwich will certainly be wanting to go into this season trying to right the wrongs that they had from last time. They had big expectations. They made it playoffs, but they certainly did not play anywhere near the quality they should be playing in the playoffs. And I think certainly here, they're going to really want to try and improve things. Now, losing Gabriel Sara, I'm going to be really intrigued to see how they're going to function without that presence. And I know they're linked with a couple of replacements in mind, but I do think it's going to be, again, like with some of the other teams I predicted already, the squad's going to be tinkered around a lot, and I think that's going to really disrupt the performance and the flow, especially if there's players playing where they're not even sure themselves if they're going to stay around. Then I think this is going to make things quite interesting in that regard. Could Oxford get something here? I think they'll show some fight, but personally, based on the talent that Norwich have, especially going forward, I think this will be a bit too tough of a test for Oxford, sadly. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-1 away victory to Norwich. I think we'll see goals in this game, but I think a lot of them will be preferably Norwich's. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is QPR versus West Brom. So this is one of the last few ones that we're going to get regarding the Saturday kickoffs. I'm really excited for this one because I think both those teams will have decent seasons on the pitch. So I'm intrigued to see which one of them could potentially get the edge out of the other. QPR have not had a great preseason, but I do personally think they will really turn up their performance up in this game. With West Brom, I think there's so much going on off the field that they just really want to get the job done on the field to kind of drown out the news that they've been getting off the pitch, and so that they can move on strength to strength and to potentially get themselves out of the Championship, which, being based on what I've been hearing financially with them, they're going to really desperately want to get out of the Championship this time around. As a prediction, oh, it's hard to say. It really is. QPR had a terrible start to the season last time. West Brom had a decent start, but they've been kind of tailing there and thereabouts. And it's different this time around. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I see both these sides offering their qualities, but I think in the end it will cancel out. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next to predict, guys, is Stoke versus Coventry. Now, I can't lie, I am intrigued to see how this one will come out. So Stoke, I think, are going into the season stronger as they finished from last season. Coventry, I think their squad is there and thereabouts the same, just due to the fact they've got some great ingoings, but they've also lost some crucial outgoings, some first-team players. So naturally, I think both sides are going to have to get used to their new squads within a couple of games, because they've both made investments which I think will affect the starting 11 of those games. And they've really only got a couple of training sessions done a pre-season to try and gel. And I think it's not really going to be easy for them whatsoever. As a prediction, this is tough. I'm, again, going to go for a draw, just due to the fact that I just don't think either of them are going to be on their best. And naturally, I just think they'll both get a moment of quality, and that will be the moment that they can reflect. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. Lots of draws for me today. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The penultimate game that we're predicting today is Sheffield Wednesday versus Plymouth. If you cast your minds to last season when they played against each other at Hillsborough, it was one of the tightest, most intense games of football that we've seen, because both these sides were fighting for survival. And lo and behold, everyone got a happy ending because both of those sides have survived the season, and as a result, they're playing against each other in the first game of the season. I am a lot more confident in Sheffield Wednesday as I am with Plymouth at this moment of time. I prefer their manager significantly more. I do like their squad players. They haven't really lost anyone too major. Plymouth, I think, again, have actually managed to improve parts of their squad and have managed to keep pretty much all of the players that I think they would have wanted to keep on. So it'll be interesting, but I do think with Danny Röhl, with getting the momentum with his Sheffield Wednesday side, it's going to be very difficult to look at anything else but a Sheffield Wednesday win. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-0 home victory, something like that for Sheffield Wednesday. I think they'll start relatively comfortably, but I'm going to be really intrigued to see how they're going to deal with a Mahusic test. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So now the final game we're going to predict is two new arrivals in this championship season playing against each other. Luton versus Burnley. I am really intrigued to see this. So arguably you could have said Leeds and Portsmouth was the headline game of this championship season opening weekend. I think it's going to be this one, and I think that's what a lot of people are going to say. Two recently relegated sides going up against each other. We don't see that often in game week 1. So I say Luton have gone through minimal change in their squad. They've not changed their manager. So depending how they've been in pre-season, I think they'll pick up where they left off. And again, likewise with the Sheffield United factor, can they recover mentally for what they've gone through in the Premier League? With Burnley, brand new manager in Scott Parker, couple new players coming in, I think there's certainly going to be lots of change in this Burnley side, considering with the contrast between Vince Kompany's style and previous styles of play we've seen Scott Parker play within the Championship. So lots of adjusting, which I think will be difficult for the Burnley boys, but I do think the quality that and depth that they have, I think, does slightly trounce Luton a bit. Ooh, as a prediction, I really can't make my mind up. I'm going to really just put my hands up and say I do not know what's going to happen in this game. I'm going to favor compromise, play it safe, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I mean, we did see a 1-1 draw, I believe, in the last outing. I think we'll get drama, but I do think it's going to end in a draw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Right guys, so that's going to wrap it up for the first episode of the new 24-25 score prediction series. Did you like the layout or the change of layout for this time around? Please do let me know in the comments down below if you want me to revert back to the old layout. But if you like this layout, I'm more than happy to keep it as it is. I do like to mix things up a little bit. But I think that's to wrap it up. I'm just so excited with the season starting. I've got to end this video, edit it, get it out, and just really feel the buzz again about a new championship season. If you guys enjoyed the video, please do smash the like button. It really does help. Every subscription, every like, every comment, every share really does help the growth of this channel, and I really truly appreciate you spending your time listening to me blab on about some predictions. Once again guys, feel free to leave your score predictions in the comments down below if you guys want to score some points in the Lexalexus Football Prediction League. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for showing in this video, and as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care everyone.